Hey y'all, today I want to talk about Isaiah 58. I came across it recently and it really spoke to me about where we are right now. I know the history of the Bible. I know when it was written and to whom this particular passage was written to in general. But sometimes you read something in the Bible and you're pretty sure that God is speaking to us right here and right now, which is just one of the many really cool things about the Bible and why it has endured for so long, because it is still speaking to us today. So here's what's going on in Isaiah 58. God is speaking through the prophet Isaiah, hence the name of the book. And so the people, they've been in exile and they are working their way back to a new normal. They have a community they have to rebuild, a country they have to rebuild. Things are not the way they were. And things are never going to be exactly the way they were before, but they are trying to rebuild and renew and repair what they once had. Does any of this sound familiar? If it doesn't, you probably have not been living here, living in this world over the last year. So people have been in exile. They're trying to get back to the new normal. Now they're doing all the right things. They're worshiping, they're fasting, they're studying about God, and things are not working like they think they should. And so God comes to Isaiah to tell the people, hey, look, all this fasting, that's not really the deal. You fast, but then while you're doing it, you treat your workers terribly. In the Message translation, it says, you fast, but you swing a mean fist. Meaning you're doing all these things outwardly that look like you are good Christians. I like this also in the Message. To all appearances, these people are a nation of right living people, law-abiding and God-honoring. But then God goes on to say they aren't acting like people of God. God says, this is the kind of fast I am after, to break the chains of injustice, to get rid of exploitation in the workplace, to free the oppressed, to cancel debts. God says, I'm interested in seeing you share your food with the hungry, invite the homeless into your homes, put clothes on the shivering, be available to your own family. Now, in the Common English Bible translation, it says, then your light will shine like the dawning sun, and you will be quickly healed. But then here's how the Message translates it. I like this. If you'll do all these things, work for the oppressed, free the oppressed, feed the hungry, welcome the homeless, it says your lives will begin to glow in the darkness. I love that image, that our lives will glow in the darkness and our shadowed lives will be bathed in sunlight. And God wants Isaiah to tell the people, you will be able to use the old rubble to build anew. And you will be known as those who can fix anything, restore old ruins, rebuild, renovate, make the community livable again. I really like, that's the Message, but I also really like what it says in the CEB and most of the mainline translations. It talks about how you will rebuild and you will be repairers of the breach. That you will be the people who will repair what has been broken. That it won't happen by people going to church and following the rules and being all pious and looking like we are holy. It will happen when we do those things that Jesus called on us to do, even though Jesus wasn't a thing when this passage was written. But to work for justice and to feed the hungry and to help the poor. Those are the things that will help us rebuild and renew and to be restorers of the breach. I just really like that wording. I want to be that. I want to be a restorer of the breach. And all through this passage, and I encourage you to go read Isaiah 58 in its entirety in several different translations, because it really does speak a little bit differently depending on how it is translated. But it does say that God's going to help us do that we don't have to do it by ourselves. If we will start looking at how to do justice and how to help the people who need our help the most, and pay attention not to our own holiness, but to how we can help others, God says if we do all these things, then the lights are going to turn on and our lives will turn around. And that God won't let us do it alone. That God will be with us in this rebuilding and repairing and renewing. that as we strive to become repairers of the breach, that we do not work on our own strength alone, that God is with us every step of the way. A God who loves us, a God who wants us to succeed, a God who wants to see the breaches repaired. So check out Isaiah 58. I really encourage you to do so. Right now, it is my go-to verse as we are in this transition time, and my go-to chapter. It's not just a verse. As we are in this transition time, and as we too are transitioning into this new normal that we're not quite sure what it's going to look like. So, Isaiah 58, y'all, check it out.